story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes. Best of all, king-size cigarettes brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A small boy is reported missing from his home. His age, 9 years. Foul play is suspected. Your job? Find him.
See the difference. Taste the difference. Smoke the difference.
You'll find that in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness. A much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Yes, in king-size Fatima, you get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
Remember, thousands of Americans are switching to Fatima, insisting on Fatima quality.
So compare Fatima yourself.
When you see the difference, taste the difference, smoke the difference, you'll switch to Fatima. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, December 22nd. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way into work, and it was 3:55 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. Hi, Joe. Ben? Well, here's the file on the Webster case.
And all the follow-ups been made?
Yeah. I get it. Homicide, Friday.
This Levinson, Unit 113J. Got something for you.
Yeah, Harry, what's doing?
Doherty and I are out here on Collis Avenue, 4656, trying to track down a 9-year-old boy.
Yeah, what's the story?
The kid's missing, suspicion of foul play.
How long's he been gone?
About 2 hours. Looks like a job for homicide.
How'd he figure?
The kid was last seen playing in the backyard of his home.
Yeah?
We checked over the yard.
Did you find anything?
Bloodstains, lots of them. They look new.
Ben and I left a message for Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. And then we went over to the crime lab, picked up Lieutenant Lee Jones, and drove out the Arroyo Seco freeway to Collis Avenue. It was an average neighborhood. Number 4656 was a one-story green stucco residence situated on the corner of Collis Avenue and Harrison Drive. Beyond the backyard was a tract of undeveloped land covered with scrub oak. Harry Levinson from Highland Park Juvenile was waiting for us in front of the house.
Let's back this way, fellas.
Coming, Lee?
Till I get my bag.
Who notified you that the boy was missing, Harry?
The mother said she went out to do some Christmas shopping about 11 this morning, left the boy home.
Mm-hmm.
She came back about 2 this afternoon. He was gone.
What's the name?
Johnstone. The kid's name is Stanley, 9 years old.
Mm-hmm. Was this gate open like this when you got here?
Yeah, I haven't touched a thing. You hear the stains over here, Lieutenant Jones, along the edge of the walk? See?
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, quite a few stains, huh?
Yeah. Looks like it might be blood. Try some benzodine on them. There we are. See what happened.
Where's the kid's mother now, Harry?
Yeah, in the house. Doherty's talking to her.
Did you talk to any of the neighbors?
People next door, the ones on this side. They couldn't tell us anything.
There it is, fellas.
Yeah, Lee.
These spots I covered with benzodine, they're turning blue. Bloodstains, all right. You can't say definitely whether it's human or animal blood.
Do you have to go back to the lab to run it through?
Yeah, biological precipitant test. Hand me one of those glass files for my bag, will you?
Yeah, sure. Okay, here you go.
Thanks. Scrape some flakes off for a test. There we are.
How soon can you tap the blood for us, Lee?
Precipitin test won't run more than 20 minutes. It'll take 3 or 4 hours to run a blood grouping, though. That's it. Anything else you want to check?
Levinson, anything else?
Oh, yeah. Right here in my handkerchief. Empty shell. That marker over there by the rose bush? That's where I found it.
From a 22, huh?
Yeah. Might tie in, might not.
Mark it and dump it in this envelope, will you?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
There you go.
Did you get a missing broadcast on the boy here?
Doherty did about a half an hour ago. Here's a description here.
Thank you.
Will Mother know about the blood stains?
No, we didn't tell her. She's worried enough already.
She has no idea what might have happened to her boy, huh?
No more than we do. She checked all her friends and relatives. We're covering the neighborhood. No trace so far.
Not much to go on.
Blood stains. Empty cartridge.
Yeah, it could mean 100 things.
Any ideas, Frank?
Just one, and I don't like it. 4:30 p.m., Thursday, December 22nd. The neighborhood search for 9-year-old Stanley Johnstone continued. Lee Jones went back to the crime lab to start the precipitin test and the blood grouping. Levinson and his partner, Doherty, from Highland Juvenile, stood by. We called Chief of Detectives Thad Brown, and he ordered up a special detail to aid in the search for the missing boy. Ben and I questioned the boy's mother, Mrs. Ruth Johnstone, a woman in her early 40s. She seemed fairly calm under the circumstances.
Miss Johnson, is your boy Stanley in the habit of wandering off without telling you where he's going?
No, he's not in the habit of wandering off, but he has done it before.
Well, when was the last time, Miss Johnstone?
You don't have any children, do you, Sergeant Friday?
No, ma'am, I'm not married.
Well, there comes a time in every young boy's life when he feels that it's time to leave home, go out on his own. Usually happens somewhere around 8 to 10.
I think I know what you mean. I have a boy.
Well, then you know how it is. My husband and I scolded Stanley one afternoon after school, and he was quite put out about it. Thought George and I were unfair. Packed a few of his things and left.
Well, how long was he gone?
Oh, no time at all, about 2 hours. I was worried about him, but my husband said to leave him alone. But every boy had to go through that stage.
Well, then you think that he's run away from home again this time?
Yes, I think so. He's been gone about 4 hours now, and I have a funny feeling about it.
Did you and his father have some misunderstanding with the boy recently?
Well, that's just it. We haven't. I don't mind telling you now that we're talking about it. I am getting worried.
Was there any place around that he might like to visit, a hobby shop, playground, someplace he might be?
Yes, there's Jensen's model shop, Little Shannon Burroughs, but I've already called there, and he hasn't been seen all day. I've called all his friends, and they have no idea where he is either.
Well, we'd like a list of all of his friends and the places that he was known to frequent.
Yes, all right, I'll give them to you. Where do you suppose he is?
Where's your husband now, Miss Johnson?
At work. George works for the city. He's a fireman.
What house is he stationed at?
Engine Company 12. He's working the A platoon. He'll be home tomorrow morning. I haven't told him Stanley's gone.
Was there any chance that the boy might be down at the firehouse with his father?
No, he seldom goes down there anymore. No, I don't think he's there. I'm awfully worried. May I call my husband?
Certainly, go right ahead.
I know George will be worried. Engine Company 12, please. Stanley's been gone too long. Hello? May I please speak with George Johnstone? This is Mrs. Johnstone. Thank you. Oh, I hate to call George at his work.
Yes, ma'am. Does your husband own a gun?
Yes, he does.
What caliber, do you know?
What's a .45 automatic? You got enough. George, this is Ruth. George, is Stanley down there with you by any chance? Oh. No, I can't find him anywhere. He wasn't here when I came home from doing my shopping. There are 2 policemen here. No, I said there are 2 policemen here. No, dear, I'll call you if we don't find him soon. All right, dear. Yes, you too. Goodbye. I didn't think he'd be with George.
That .45, is that the only gun in the household?
Yes. Why are you asking about guns? Has anything happened that you're not telling me about?
No, ma'am, just routine checking. We'll have to take a look at that .45 if you don't mind.
Maybe I should tell you we do have another gun in the house, but it's all wrapped up. George bought it for Stanley's Christmas present.
What if we could see it, please?
Yes, well, will you have to unwrap it?
Yes, ma'am, I'm afraid so.
It's in the closet. Thank you. We had to hide it. Let me see. Well, Here's the paper it was wrapped in. Stanley must have found it. It's gone. You see, here's the gift card and the box the gun came in, the rifle.
I wonder if I could look at that box, ma'am. Thank you. How about it, Joe? 22 caliber. Thursday, December 22nd, 5:15 p.m. It was getting dark. The search for the missing boy continued. We checked the list of Stanley Johnstone's friends. None of them or their parents had any idea of his whereabouts. We talked with Levinson again. He'd been in touch with the detail combing the neighborhood. They'd found nothing. We went down to Collis Avenue and 10th Street, the service station on the corner.
One nickel, you?
Oh, I got one. Will you watch for Thad?
Yeah.
City Hall?
2667, please.
2667?
Crime Lab, Jones.
Hi, Lee. Joe Friday.
Yeah, Joe. Any sign of the Johnson kid?
No, not yet. How are you coming?
Finished the precipitant test. It's human blood.
Yeah?
Working on the blood group now. Do you know what type the Johnson boy has?
Well, I didn't want to upset his mother. Thought I'd wait till the last thing. We're in the neighborhood.
Check with the family physician. That way you won't disturb it.
Yeah, I figured on that. Just a minute, Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Ross just pulled up.
Okay. Thad Brown's out here now. I'll check you later, Lee, huh?
All right, Joe.
Right, bye.
Bye.
Over this way, Jim. Gentlemen, how's it going?
We just checked with Lee Jones.
Yeah, I know. It's human blood. What do you think?
We talked with the boy's mother, Mrs. Johnstone. Found a gun missing.
Yeah?
Caliber's the same as the empty casing Levinson found. It's 22.
You said the gun was missing?
Yeah, the Johnstones were going to give it to the boys as a Christmas present. They had it hidden, but it's gone.
Any idea who took it?
Well, they left the Christmas wrapping behind. I think it was the kid.
22 rifle, huh? 9-year-old boy. When's he going to learn? First, it's carbide cannons on the 4th of July. The city issued ordinance after ordinance. A few thousand kids around the country had to lose their eyes, fingers, hands before the parents would give us their full cooperation to outlaw them.
I know what you mean.
Sure you do. You and every other cop in the country became the heavies trying to clamp down on them. It's always the same story. This time it's guns for Christmas.
Well, I know what you're thinking, but we're not sure yet.
Listen, Friday. There's a city ordinance against giving a gun to a kid. You know that.
Yeah, I know that.
There's a missing boy and a missing gun. There's blood on the ground and an empty shell. That's enough for me.
Well, we're going to stay with it. Something's got to break.
Yeah? I hope it's not the hearts of that kid's parents.
Hi, Chief. Been looking for you, Friday.
What do you got, Harry?
Found the gun. New 22 rifle. I'd say it's been fired recently.
Where'd you find it, Levinson?
Back up there in that scrub oak behind the Johnstone house. Mrs. Johnstone identified it. Buckley took it down to the crime lab.
Thanks, Harry. Miss Johnstone okay?
Pretty sick now. Doherty came up with something else.
What's that?
There's another one missing. An 8-year-old boy.
6:30 p.m. We talked with Officer Doherty about the other missing boy. He told us that his name was Stephen Moorheim, 8 years old. His family had just moved into the neighborhood. It seemed that no one besides the Moorheim family knew that the boys played together. Mrs. Moorheim told us that Stephen told her that he was going out to play and that he'd be home by 6 o'clock for dinner. She told us that he was an unusually prompt boy and almost never overstayed his playtime. We got a description of the Moorheim boy and put out a missing broadcast. We called the Johnstone's family doctor. He told us that Stanley's blood was type O. At 7 p.m., we talked again with Mrs. John Moorheim.
Are you sure Mrs. Johnstone doesn't know where the boys are?
She has no idea, Mrs. Moorheim.
Oh, this is terrible. Just awful. I feel there's more to this thing, something you're not telling me.
Well, there's no use to upset you until we know a few things for sure.
And you're holding back something.
Oh, no, please try not to worry, Miss Moorheim. There are certain things that we're going to have to ask you, routine questions in any kind of investigation.
Is there anything else you want to know?
Yes, ma'am. What is your boy's blood type?
It's a funny question. Do you think anything's happened to him? Have you found him and you're not telling me?
No, ma'am, we haven't found him, and we don't think anything's happened to him.
His blood type.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I think I have it written down in Stevie's baby book. Yes, here it is. It's type O.
Thank you. I wonder if I might use your phone?
Yes, of course, it's in the hall.
I'll be right back then.
Okay.
City Hall.
2667, please.
2667.
Crime Lab, Pinker.
Oh, Ray, this is Joe Friday. Is Lee there?
Just a minute, Joe. Take two, Lee. Jones speaking.
Checking back, Lee.
Did you get the blood types on the two missing boys?
Yeah, both type O.
So were the stains, Joe. Type O.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Millions heard it, yet only 55 have written.
Starting on Dragnet 3 months ago, on September 20th to be exact, Fatima made a special money-back offer to more than 10 million listeners. The results? Amazing.
Millions heard it, yet only 55 have written.
If you smoke king-size cigarettes, listen to Fatima's famous offer.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy their extra mildness and superbly blended tobaccos. If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas before January 1st, and we'll give you your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Remember, thousands and thousands of Americans are switching to king-size Fatima, insisting on Fatima quality.
So why wait? Switch to Fatima today. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
8 p.m., Thursday, December 22nd. Still no sign of either of the missing boys. Chief of Detectives Thad Brown went back to headquarters to direct the search from there. He dispatched another detail of 50 men to aid in the hunt for the missing youngsters. 8:30 p.m. It was getting a little colder. The citrus growers were warned to expect a freeze. We went up the block to see Mrs. Johnstone. Her husband had quit work early and returned home. We talked with him for a while. He could tell us nothing more than we already knew. We still had not informed either of the families about the blood stains and the empty cartridge casing which had been discovered in the backyard of the Johnstone home. It was more than possible that they had a right to know about our findings, but Ben and I felt that there was no cause to add to the distress of the two families at this time. If the two missing boys were found alive and well, then the blood stains and the cartridge would be of no concern to the relieved parents. At 8:40 p.m., Ben and I left the Johnstone house and went to the home of Mr. and Mrs. John Moorheim.
Miss Moorheim, you said your husband worked at a market.
Yes, he telephoned about 15 minutes ago. Said he was closing up right away. He'll be here any minute. I wish Stevie would call, come home. It's so cold out tonight. All he had on was a thin cotton jacket.
We'll try not to worry. We're doing everything we can. He'll be all right.
Stevie's father's such a sensitive man. He and the boy are so close. I know he's terribly upset.
Now, you're sure there's no place that you might have forgotten, someplace where the boy might be?
No place. No. If anything's happened to the boy, it'll just kill John.
No. You sit still. I'll get him, Miss Moore.
Joe?
Yeah, Harry.
The Johnstone kid, he's been found.
He's home, Sergeant. He's come home. Thank God he's all right.
Where's he been? Did he tell you?
No, he didn't. His clothes are all dirty and he's acting strange. I've never seen him like this.
How do you mean, Miss Johnston?
Well, he just came to the front door and said, "Hello, Mom." And he sat down in a chair and stared at the floor. He won't talk to his father or me.
Do you mind if I talk to him?
No, go ahead. I asked him about the little Moorheim boy, but he wouldn't tell me a thing.
Where is he now?
Right over there in the living room.
Looks all right.
Yes. Son, this is a police officer. He wants to talk to you. Don't be afraid, dear. He only wants to ask you some questions. Son. You see, Sergeant?
Stanley, look at me, son. Come on, youngster. Get your head up there. That's better. He had your mother pretty worried. You know that. You want to tell us where you've been?
We should try to get him to eat a little something.
You hear that, son? Want something to eat? Stanley, there's another little boy up the street who hasn't come home. You know where he is? His father and mother are worried about him, too. Just like your folks were. We're going to ask you to help us find him.
I killed him. I killed Steve with the .22. We were only playing, but I killed him.
How do you know you killed him? Maybe he's only hurt now, isn't that it?
No, he's dead. I know he's dead. The gun went off. I forgot we put bullets in there.
Where is he, Stanley?
I hit him. I was scared. I didn't want anybody to find him.
Where did you hide him, son?
In a cave up on the hill. I didn't mean it. He was my pal.
Do you want to show us where, Stanley?
Yes, I'll show you. Please, don't send me to jail.
"9:15 p.m., Thursday, December 22nd. 9-year-old Stanley Johnstone led the way up the hill behind the backyard of his home. He showed us the wagon that he moved the body in. His father came along with us. About 50 feet from the crest of the hill, the boy pointed to a thicket of scrub oak. There we found a small cave holding the body of Stephen Morheim. There was a single bullet wound in his chest just below his heart. He was dead. We covered the body.
Stanley, how did it happen?
I knew my folks were going to give me the gun for Christmas. I knew where it was, and I got it. There was a box of bullets with it.
Were you pointing the gun at Stevenson?
No, sir. No, sir, I wasn't. It was Steve's turn to play with it. I was chasing him. He tripped over that stump there, and he fell. The gun hit him in the stomach, and it went off.
Well, why do you think you killed him if you're telling us the truth?
I'm telling the truth. Honest, that's the truth.
Well, I believe you, son, but why do you think you killed him?
It was my gun. Stevie'd still be alive if I didn't go and get it. I should have waited till Christmas. It's all my fault.
Well, where have you been all this time?
In the cave with Steve.
Well, what were you doing in there, son?
I was praying. I was praying for God to make him alive again.
After a thorough investigation, Ben and I were convinced that the shooting of Stephen Morheim was accidental. Lieutenant Lee Jones' findings substantiated the Johnstone boy's story even to the smallest detail. We put in a call to the coroner's office, and we acquainted him with the facts. He designated a local mortuary to handle the body, pending autopsy, and granted us permission to remove the body to the Morheim home. Mrs. Morheim collapsed. The family doctor was called. Ben and I sat in the living room to wait for John Morheim, the dead boy's father.
Edith? Edith?
Mr. Morheim?
Yeah, you the police?
Yes.
Well, where's Edith? Where's my wife? Has my boy come home? Have you found him?
Yes, sir.
Well, where is he? Steve? Stevie? Where's Steve? He's hurt, isn't he?
Yes, sir, yes.
Well, where is he? I want to see him.
He's hurt bad, Mr. Morheim.
Where is he? I want to see him. How bad?
Pretty bad.
He's dead. All right, if I go in.
Yes, sir, if you want.
Will you go with me?
Sure. Don't make it any harder on yourself, Mr. Morheim.
I want to see my boy.
Mr. Morheim.
Listen to me, son. We got you a lot of nice things for Christmas. Everything you wanted. I got you the 3 new cars for the train. That one with a searchlight on it really works, son. got you that new switch you wanted. A lot more drag. Oh, now you can have big layout. And you know that new baseball mitt we saw? I got it for you. The cowboy outfit you wanted. I got it.
Mr. Moorheim. Come on, you.
What happened?
It was an accident. He was playing with a Johnstone boy up the street. Playing with a gun. It went off.
What was the other boy's name?
Stanley Johnstone. It was an accident. Mr. Moorheim, where are you going?
I want to see that boy.
We had no idea what the dead boy's father had in mind. We didn't feel that we should try to restrain him. Ben and I went along with him up the street to the Johnstone home.
I'm Stevie's father. Where's your boy?
I'm sorry. We bought the rifle. We were going to tell him not to use it unless his father was with him until he learned how to treat firearms.
Where's your boy?
Right here. Won't you come in?
It's all right, Miss Johnstone.
You the boy that was with Stevie?
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
Stanley.
I know it wasn't your fault, Stanley. Wonder if you'd do something for me.
Yes, sir.
I've got a lot of nice presents for Stevie. I know he'd want you to have them. I want to give them to you Christmas Eve.
Mom?
I think that'd be a fine idea, son.
Come on, Ben. Well, what's it all prove, Joe? You don't give a kid a gun for Christmas.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 24th, 1948, a coroner's inquest was held in the county morgue, city and county of Los Angeles, state of California. In a moment, the results of that inquest.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, with just a weekend to complete your Christmas shopping, it's good to remember that the man who sells you your Fatimas, your neighborhood dealer, is conveniently nearby. Drop in. Do what I'm going to do. Buy Fatima in its smart holiday carton for Christmas gifts. And for yourself, buy enough to last the long weekend. You'll be smoking and giving the best, because Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. And now, to all our friends, the retail dealers and wholesale distributors who sell Fatimas, and of course to all of you, Merry Christmas from Fatima and all of us on Dragnet.
At the coroner's inquest, it was officially recorded that Stephen Moorheim's death was the result of an accident. Stanley Johnstone was absolved of any legal responsibility for his friend's death. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Counter Spy fights international intrigue next on NBC.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. An unidentified armed bandit starts a campaign of jewelry store holdups in your city. The robberies are carefully planned, carefully executed. The bandit commits brutal attacks on each of the victims. Your job? Get him. The latest Fatima sales report shows thousands and thousands of king-size cigarette smokers are switching to Fatima.
For the month of October, coast-to-coast actual figures show Fatima sales are up 110%, or more than double.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
Remember, thousands of Americans are switching to extra mild Fatima. Next time, insist on the best king-size Fatima in the distinctive golden yellow package.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, March 10th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. It was 3:28 p.m. when I got to room 27A. Robbery detail.
Joe?
Yeah, Ben.
Joe, this is Mr. and Mrs. Gordon. Folks would like to have you meet my partner, Sergeant Friday.
How do you do? Glad to know you.
How are you, Sergeant?
Mrs. Gordon, are you feeling any better now?
Qu'est-ce qu'il a dit, Robert?
Il veut savoir comment tu te sens. Raconte-leur ce que tu sais de base.
She's a lot better now, Sergeant, thank you. My French isn't very good, but it's a lot better than her English. Cecile's only been over here a couple of weeks. I met her when I was on occupation duty over there. Army, you know.
Yeah, I see. Well, we'll try not to keep you long, sir. We got a few questions about the robbery. We think your wife might be able to help us.
Well, we'll sure try, Sergeant. Like to help you any way we can.
Your wife was the only one in the store besides the clerk at the time of the hold-up. Like to have her tell us everything that happened, if she would, please.
Okay. Qu'est-ce qui est arrivé à la bijouterie?
Oh, oui, je peux leur dire, j'ai tout vu.
She says she saw everything that happened, Sergeant. What would you like to know first?
Well, how about the hold-up man, Mr. Gordon? Did your wife get a good look at him? Can she describe him for us?
Cécile, peux-tu décrire le voleur?
Oh, il portait un veston bleu. C'était un homme aux cheveux bruns, pas trop grands.
She says the fellow was wearing a blue coat. He had dark hair. Wasn't a very big man.
Mm-hmm. Does she have any idea about how tall he was?
Cécile, de quelle taille? C'est-à-dire...
costaud. Comme ça. Il viendrait jusqu'à ton épaule. Il pesait environ 80 kilos.
She can't say exactly how tall, Sergeant. Said he'd come up to about here on my shoulder, about 5'8", I guess. She thinks maybe he weighed about 170 pounds. She's not sure.
Uh-huh. Would you ask her exactly what happened at the store? That is, as much as she can remember.
Sure.
Cécile, dis-leur exactement ce qui s'est passé.
Eh bien, j'étais au comptoir quand l'homme est entré. Il est allé directement au vendeur, celui qui me servait, et il avait un revolver dans la main.
Well, she says she was standing by the counter, Sergeant, when the hold-up man came in.
Uh-huh.
Says the fellow went over to the clerk, the man who was waiting on her. Says the fellow had a gun in his hand.
Would you ask her to go on, please?
Et après, Cécile?
Il a forcé le vendeur à lui donner tous les bijoux et les a mis dans un sac de papier.
She says the hold-up man made the clerk get up the jewelry. The guy took it and dumped it in a paper bag.
Cécile, et après?
Puis, sans raison, après avoir obtenu tous les bijoux, il s'est mis à battre le vendeur avec le revolver. C'était terrible, terrible. J'ai commencé à crier, puis il m'a battu. C'est tout dont je me souviens. C'était terrible.
Well, after he got all this jewelry in the paper bag, the thief began beating up on the clerk. She says for no reason at all, he began slugging the clerk with a gun he was carrying. Really got nasty with him. Naturally, it scared the wife, and she let out a scream. He turned around and hit her. She says that's all she remembers. She'd sure like to get my hands on that lousy punk.
Yeah, I understand how you feel, Mr. Gordon. Could you ask your wife if there's anything else about the hold-up man she remembers?
Cécile, te rappelles-tu d'autres choses à propos de cet homme? Avait-il quelque chose d'extraordinaire?
Non, Robert.
Well, that's about it, Sergeant.
Well, how about the man's clothes? Does she remember anything else he was wearing besides that blue jacket?
Et le reste de ses vêtements? Et par le veston bleu, t'en rappelles-tu?
Non. Je crois qu'il avait un pantalon foncé, mais je ne me rappelle pas d'autre chose. J'avais trop peur.
She thinks maybe he had on dark trousers. She's not sure, though. Says she was too scared to notice.
Cécile, portait-il un chapeau?
Oh non, il n'avait pas de chapeau.
I asked her if he was wearing a hat. She said no, she's sure of that.
I see. Well, is there anything else that she can remember about him? Anything at all? Y a-t-il autre chose que la police devrait savoir?
Non, je leur ai tout dit. C'est tout dont je me souviens.
No, you got it all, Sergeant.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gordon, Mrs. Gordon.
Je comprends pas. Je comprends pas.
How's that, ma'am? Cécile?
Je comprends pas pourquoi un homme ferait une chose pareille. Je comprends pas.
She says she can't understand how a man would do such a thing. She means how he cut up the clerk that way.
Yes.
Je comprends pas.
So hard for her, she just can't understand.
Tell her we can't either. 2 weeks before, on the 27th of April at 2:30 in the afternoon, the robbery suspect had begun his campaign of downtown jewelry store holdups. Since that time, in the same general area, he had succeeded in committing 3 more jewel robberies and making good his escape. Each of the holdups netted him more than $3,000 in rings, diamonds, and other precious stones. From his M.O., it was obvious that he was experienced. All of the robberies were committed in broad daylight. All of them were apparently well planned. After obtaining the loot, which he dumped into an ordinary paper bag, he turned on his victims and with no provocation beat them viciously. After 2 weeks of investigation, we had yet to come up with a solid lead on either the identity of the suspect or his whereabouts. We had a fair description of the hold-up man. We had a good rundown on his method of operation, but repeated checks on possible suspects through the Record Bureau, CII in Sacramento, and through our statistician's office failed to get us anything. There were no kickbacks on our all-points bulletin. After we interviewed Mrs. Gordon, the witness to the latest jewel robbery, we were no further along than we were 2 weeks before, an M.O. and a description. Neither one of them were giving us much help. 4:05 p.m., we met with Captain Didion.
How about the mug books? Any luck there?
Miss Gordon's in there now, Skipper, with her husband. They're checking through them. Nothing yet.
Mm-hmm. What else you got working?
New run going through the stats office. Third one this week might get us something.
The store manager on that job this afternoon. Did you talk to him yet?
Yeah, we did. He gave us the best lead we've had so far in the thing. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, we had him checking the mug books, and he came up with a partial identification from one of them, San Quentin release.
No.
Jack Maynard. He's only been arrested once here, drunk charge. Done time up at Q for robbery before. Ben and I pulled a package on him. We figure he ought to still be serving time at Quentin. Couldn't tell from his record, though.
How's that?
Well, it's possible he might have been paroled the last month or so. That'd put him in line for these holdups.
Mm-hmm. You check, Quentin?
We got off the teletype to the warden's office late this morning, Skipper. Ought to have an answer pretty soon. Best lead we've had so far. I hope it stands up.
Excuse me. Robbery, Didion. Yeah? Oh, yeah, Matthews. Uh-huh. No, you and McCaleb stay on it. Yeah, that's right. Over the weekend, anyway. Yeah, right. Goodbye. Well, what's the answer? He's had 3 weeks. He's cleared 4 jobs, every one of them in broad daylight. More than $10,000 worth of stuff. Now, how do we reach him?
How about some extra manpower, Skipper? Can we manage it?
What do you got in mind?
Stakeout seems to be the best angle for us with this kind of a setup.
How many teams you figure it'll take?
Oh, a dozen anyhow. You figure that, Joe?
Yeah, just about. The thief seems to be concentrating on the downtown area. All 4 holdups were in the same general neighborhood within a 20-block radius.
Mm-hmm.
We can't cover all the jewelry stores with a dozen teams. It'll give us pretty good coverage, though. Sure help our chances.
Mm-hmm. You checked out all the other angles, huh?
Everything. Not doing us much good.
Robbery, Didion. Yeah, just a minute.
You, Friday. Oh, thanks. Yeah, Friday talking. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. That's so. No, we'll pick it up. Thank you. This communications just got an answer on that teletype to Quentin.
On Jack Maynard? What'd they say?
No lead. He's still in prison. We went back and started again from the beginning. With our best lead gone, there wasn't any alternative. The following day, Thursday, March 11th, the stakeouts went into effect. A dozen jewelry stores in the immediate downtown area, all of them potential holdup victims, were placed under constant surveillance. 3 days passed. Nothing happened. No sign of the holdup man. We stayed on it. Tuesday, March 16th, 11 a.m. At a small downtown jewelry shop, 3 blocks from the nearest stakeout team, the bandit committed his 5th successive robbery and made good his escape. The M.O. and description matched in almost every respect. Ben and I answered the call and drove to the scene of the holdup to interview the victim, a Mr. Walter Myers.
He came straight back this way, just where I'm walking. I was at the end of that counter there, just where you are. He had a brown paper bag in one hand, and it was just a couple of feet from me. He put his other hand in his coat pocket, and he came up with a gun, pointed it right at me.
Store was empty at the time, sir? No customers around?
Yeah, that's right. Just myself and my son-in-law, Herb, in the back room. I guess he heard this thief talking to me, and he came out to see what it was all about. That's when the fireworks started.
And what happened?
Well, he made Herb line up along the counter right next to me. By this time, he had all the loot he wanted in that paper bag he was carrying. Just when I thought he was going to leave, he turned around. All of a sudden, he said to Herb, "You think you're a smart guy, don't you?" Then he slugged Herb with the gun. Brought it right down on the side of his head, all his might.
That's when the fight started, is that right?
Just about, yeah. Herb fell down on one knee. There was a great big gash on the side of his face. Even when he was down, the thief kept slugging Herb, kept pounding him in the face with that gun. Herb wasn't doing anything. I got good and sore.
What happened then?
Well, I didn't care what happened. I just got sore at the lousy crook. I made a dive for him, grabbed him around the chest. Here, something like this.
Yeah.
The two of us went down on the floor, and I wrestled him for the gun. That's when it went off. A wild shot. Plowed right into the wall over there. Herb picked himself up and piled on the guy, too. I guess the crook really must have figured he was through, fought like a wild man. I had a good hold of the top coat he had on, but he slipped right out of it. He grabbed his gun and the paper bag and ran out of the store, left me there holding an empty coat.
And this is the coat he was wearing right here, is that right?
Yeah, that's it. You can see one of the sleeves there. He almost ripped it clean off trying to get away.
Yeah, I see.
I already looked through the pockets. Nothing in them.
Now, how about this description of the man, Mr. Myers? You're pretty sure of that, are you?
Yeah, I'm positive, Sergeant.
Ben, you want to call the crime lab? There's a phone booth right over there. You mind?
Oh, yeah, thanks.
I wonder if I could check that spot where the bullet hit Mr. Myers, that wild shot he fired.
Oh, yeah. Right over here, Sergeant.
Fine.
Back of the cash register.
Yeah. Bedded in there pretty solid.
Yeah, lucky it was the wall, not one of us. Say, I got a pocket knife here if you want to dig it out.
No, sir. We've got a crew on the way out from our crime lab. Ballistics men. They'll take care of it. I would like to take another look at that top coat, the one the thief was wearing.
Oh, yeah, sure. I had already looked it over pretty good. Nothing in the pockets. Couldn't find anything. Here.
All right, sir. Just an ordinary top coat, isn't it? There's no label on it. No, you're right. There's nothing in the pockets.
What is it? Did you find something?
Well, no, sir. It feels like a hole in the pocket here. Good sized one.
Joe?
Yeah.
Crime lab's on the way. Should be here in a couple of minutes.
Okay, fine.
Anything at all in the coat?
Oh, I don't know. Here. Seems to be a hole in this pocket here. It's possible something might have dropped down into the lining of the coat, maybe.
Here, let me hold out that end for you.
All right, thank you. Let me hold it up a little. That's fine, right
like
there.
This?
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like something down in here.
What is it?
Hey, just a minute. I get my hand down in there. See if I can get it. Yeah. Here we are.
A scrap of paper. Some writing on it.
What is it, Joe?
Telephone number. The phone number printed neatly on the scrap of paper was Crestview 92085. There were no other notations. We checked out the number and found that the telephone was installed at 6414 Cordova Drive in the Los Feliz district. After the crime lab crew arrived at the store, Ben and I took the bandit's top coat and drove to the address listed for the phone number, a 12-unit apartment house on the corner of Franklin Avenue and Fairfax. The number turned out to be a public phone booth located in the lobby of the apartment. The manager could tell us nothing. We began checking with the tenants on the first floor of the building. We gave them the description of the jewelry store bandit. We showed them the top coat. They failed to recognize either one. We started on the second floor at the end of the hall. The tenant was a Mrs. Iverson.
Do you recognize the description at all, Miss Iverson, mean anything to you?
Yes. I'd say it did, Sergeant. Have you tried the apartment next door, Miss King's apartment?
Oh, no, ma'am. Why do you ask that?
Yes. Almost sure of it.
Ma'am?
I've seen a man who looks like this go in there several times.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Millions heard it, yet only 52 have written.
Starting on Dragnet over 2 months ago, on September 20th to be exact, Fatima made a special money-back offer to more than 10 million listeners. The results? Amazing.
Millions heard it, yet only 52 have written.
If you smoke king-size cigarettes, Listen to Fatima's famous offer.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy their extra mildness and superbly blended tobaccos. If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas before January 1st, and we'll give you your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Fatima's latest sales report shows Fatima sales up in every state in America. The month of October, coast to coast. Actual figures show Fatima sales up 110%, or more than double.
Yes, thousands and thousands of Americans are switching to king-size Fatima. So why wait? Switch to Fatima today. Extra mild. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
March 16th, Tuesday, 2:48 p.m. Ben and I went next door to the apartment where a man answering the description of the jewelry store bandit reportedly had been seen several times. We rang, but there was no answer. We went back and checked with the manager of the building, who told us that the apartment was registered to a Miss Lenora King. He told us that as far as he knew, Miss King worked during the day and that she usually returned to her apartment between 7 and 8 o'clock at night. The manager gave us the address of the place she worked, and we checked it out. It was an exclusive gift shop on La Cienega Boulevard in West Hollywood. We located Lenore King back at the main packing desk where she was employed as a gift wrapper. When we put the question to her that a man answering the description of the jewelry store bandit had been seen visiting her, she readily admitted it.
Yes, that's right. I'd say he looks just like that. He drops by my apartment 4 or 5 times a month. His name's Marty.
What's his last name, Miss King? Where can we find him?
I'm sorry, I never did know his last name. I'm afraid I don't know where you can find him either.
Well, how's that, Miss King? He visits you quite a bit. He's a friend of yours, isn't he?
Not exactly. I know him. That's about all. He's a friend of a friend. It's more like that.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me.
Sure.
I'm sorry. This package has a rush on it. I'll have to wrap it now. Do you mind?
No, ma'am. You go right ahead.
About this man, Marty, Miss King, you mind explaining a little more? If you don't know him well, why should he visit you so often?
Well, to tell you the truth, it's more of a favor than anything. It's for Virginia. She's my girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
And I wish I never got mixed up in it to begin with.
Well, how do you mean, mixed up in what?
Well, it's confidential, Sergeant. I'd just as soon not mention it if you don't mind.
Well, I'd like to have you tell us everything you know about it. It's a pretty important matter, ma'am.
Well, I don't know really how it started. I mean, how the two of them got together, Marty and Virginia. They just met, I suppose. Virginia fell in love with him. She had to find some way out.
How's that, ma'am?
Virginia, she was crazy about Marty. I guess she still is. They didn't want to get all involved, though, neither one of them. It's romantic in a way. Could I have the scissors there, Sergeant?
Yes, here you go.
Well, what two of them want is to see each other once a week. It's enough for Virginia, she says. She loves him, and that's all that counts. She doesn't want to know where Marty lives, what he does, anything about him, and I guess the same goes for Marty.
Let's see. So the two of them get in touch with each other through you, is that it?
That's right. Usually once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. I'd just as soon not talk about it if you don't mind, though. I can give you Virginia's address. She can tell you more about Marty than I can.
You have no idea where we can locate the man.
I'm sorry, none at all. The only contact I have is when Marty phones me or when he comes around. He leaves a message for Virginia where to meet him and when, and then he leaves. I really think you ought to talk to Virginia about it.
Uh-huh.
There we are.
One thing I don't quite understand, ma'am.
Yes?
This girlfriend of yours, Virginia, you say she's in love with this fellow Marty?
Oh, yeah, crazy about him.
And why are they playing this hide and seek? If they're in love, why don't they come out and get married? What's the problem?
Virginia.
What?
She's already married.
Before we left Lenore King, we advised her what the situation was. In the event the suspect, Marty, contacted her, she was to get in touch with us immediately. She gave us her promise that she wouldn't disclose our conversation with her. We left her our card, and she gave us the address of her girlfriend, Virginia Brewer. It was a South Argyle Street address, but Mrs. Brewer wasn't at home. 8:15 p.m. We drove to her place of employment, a Valley nightclub out along Ventura Boulevard, where she was appearing in the floor show. She was a dancer. We located her backstage, waiting to go on.
You must have some other girl in mind, officer. I don't know anyone by the name of Marty.
You sure about that, Miss Brewer? We got it from a pretty good source.
Well, I'm sure I don't know where you got it, but it's wrong. The name isn't familiar at all. Who told you this, anyway?
Close friend of yours, ma'am. She seemed to know what she was talking about.
Who was it? I got a right to know that.
Lenore King.
Lenore? Why should she tell you a story like that?
We wouldn't know, ma'am, unless it's the truth.
Of course it's not the truth. I don't know any Marty. I don't even know what this is all about.
Well, she says you know the man, Mrs. Brewer. She says you're in love with him.
She seemed to have all the details. Now, is there any good reason why she'd tell lies about you?
I don't know. You believe what she told you?
Yes, ma'am, we do, unless you can prove it's a lie.
I'm sorry. That's my introduction. I have to go on.
All right, ma'am. We'll wait.
Take another ball.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you. You want to come back here, officers? Dressing room? We can talk there.
All right, fine.
In here.
Thank you.
Well, I suppose there isn't any point in trying to cover it over. Only one thing I'd like to ask you.
Yes, ma'am?
My husband doesn't have to know, does he? I mean, whatever there is to this. You don't have to tell the papers, do you? You can keep it quiet.
Whatever you tell us will be strictly confidential, ma'am.
All right. I know Marty. I've known him for 6 months. Lenore wasn't lying. I'm in love with him.
Well, we're not prying into your personal life, Miss Brewer. We'd just like to locate this man, Marty, that's all. It's pretty important to us.
Why is it important? Why do you want him?
Robbery investigation, ma'am. We'd like to get hold of him for an interview.
Robbery? Think Marty's done something? Is that why you want him?
We're not sure. Do you have any idea where we can find him?
No, no more than Lenore. I guess she told you about it. I mean, Marty and I, how it's been.
You have no idea where he stays, where he works?
No, I don't. It's been that way from the beginning. Lenore knows as much about that as I do. Only one way I can get in touch with him, and that's when he leaves a message at Lenore's, or I leave a message. When we first met, Marty and I, that's the way we both wanted it. He didn't want to get all involved. Because of my husband. I didn't either.
Have you seen this Marty lately, Miss Brewer?
Yes, about 10 days ago.
You expect to see him again soon?
Well, I don't know. I suppose so. He'll leave a message with Lenore if he wants me. That's all I can go on.
Well, could you leave a message for him with Lenore?
Yes, I suppose so. Have to wait till he calls, though.
Mm-hmm.
Can't you tell me more about it, Sergeant? Why do you want him? What's it about?
We're going to have to ask your cooperation, ma'am. Your friend's a robbery suspect. We think he's a pretty good one.
Marty?
Yes, ma'am. Now, the next time he contacts you, the next time he sets up a date with you, we'd like to know where, we'd like to know when.
You think he's guilty? Really think he's done something?
Well, he's a suspect, ma'am. That's all we know.
I guess Lenore told you. I love him. Love him more than anyone. Won't make any difference.
Ma'am?
Won't make any difference. I love him. Even if he is guilty, it won't make any difference.
The will to him. 8:55 p.m. We continued questioning Virginia Brewer. Before we left, we got her promise that in the event the man known as Marty contacted her, she would notify us immediately. 9:20 p.m. We checked back in at the office and made arrangements to keep the home of Virginia Brewer under constant surveillance, as well as the apartment of her girlfriend, Lenore King. The following morning, we checked with the ballistics men at the crime lab who'd examined the slug which had been taken from the wall of Walter Meyer's jewelry store, the latest of the hold-up man's victims. It was identified as having been fired from a .32 caliber revolver. The slug was marked and filed as evidence. Thorough examination of the top coat which the suspect had left behind at his last hold-up failed to yield any new leads. The jewel trays at the store which had been held up were also checked for fingerprints. A week passed. No sign of the jewel thief. Wednesday, March 24th.
I'll grab it.
All right.
Robbery Romero. Oh, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Well, when was that? Oh, all right. Fine, yes, ma'am. Thank you. Bye.
You got anything?
That friend of Mrs. Brewer's, Lenore King.
Yeah.
Says this fellow Marty called a few minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
Set up a date with Mrs. Brewer. We're supposed to meet at Lenore's apartment.
When?
8 o'clock tonight.
4:45 p.m. We checked with Captain Didion and set up a plan to have the apartment building where Lenore King lived thoroughly covered that night. Carr and Matthews were assigned to cover outside the main entrance. McCaleb and Olson would cover the lobby. Ben and I would be in the apartment proper, along with Mrs. Brewer and Lenore King. By 6 o'clock that night, we were all in position. We waited. 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30. We waited. Mrs. Brewer walked the floor with a drink in her hand. 7:45, 7:50. Ben watched at the window. Virginia Brewer got nervous.
You can't prove it. You don't know anything for sure. How I know you're not trying for a frame, trying to blame Marty for something he didn't do?
We're not blaming him for anything, ma'am. He's a suspect. We want to talk to him, that's all.
Why don't you sit down, huh, Virginia? No use getting upset. It'll be all right. Come on, honey. Got him all over the place, Lenore. Cops. They're waiting for Marty. What am I supposed to think?
Why don't you relax, Miss Brewer? If he's not the man, you got nothing to worry about.
He's right, honey. Sit down, huh? Let me freshen up that drink.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Car pulling up outside. Sedan.
Yeah, let me see.
Right in front, see? Man getting out. Yeah, he's coming in here.
Marty.
Can't see him. He must be inside.
Marty. Marty. Why didn't he tell me?
You want to hop downstairs, Ben, see what happened, huh?
Yeah, all right.
It'll be all right, honey. Take it easy. It'll be all right.
I didn't know. I didn't know. Sergeant, why did you do it?
Do what, ma'am?
Marty. I didn't know about it. We didn't know anything about each other, and this has to happen. Why didn't he tell me?
I wouldn't know.
I love him. The rest I don't know, but I love him. If he was in trouble, he could have told me. If he loved me, he would have told me. He would have told me everything.
Well, I guess maybe you got the answer.
What?
He didn't love you.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 29th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 91, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, the man who sells you your Fatimas, your neighborhood cigarette dealer, is a mighty good man to go see during the holiday season. When you drop in, notice Fatima's new poster. It's a reminder that he has Fatimas in smart Christmas cartons. Now, this Christmas season, I'm buying Fatimas for all my friends. I suggest you do the same. You'll be giving the best, and believe me, they'll thank you for introducing them to Fatima quality. It's extra mildness and better flavor and aroma. Remember, ask your dealer for Fatima in the distinctive new Christmas wrapper. And when you see it, you'll agree it's the smartest of all Christmas cartons, just as it should be, because Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes.
The suspect, Martin Arthur Kessington, was wounded, but not fatally, when he attempted to resist arrest. After interrogation, he dictated a signed statement admitting guilt for all 5 of the jewelry store holdups. He was tried and convicted on 5 counts of first-degree robbery and received a sentence as prescribed by law. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a term of 5 years to life. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Barton Yarborough is Sergeant Ben Romero. Also heard were Vic Perrin and Virginia Gregg. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Next, Counter Spy fights international intrigue on NBC. The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A 40-year-old mother is found murdered in the bedroom of her home. The body bears the marks of a savage attack with a knife. The killer showed no mercy. Your job? Get him. See the difference. Taste the difference.
Smoke the difference.
You'll find that in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness. A much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Yes, in king-size Fatima, you get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
Remember, thousands of Americans are switching to Fatima. Insist on Fatima quality. So why wait? Switch to Fatima today. Look for the sunny yellow pack. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, February 18th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 10:43 a.m. when we got to Woodview High School, the vice principal's office.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes?
I'd like to see the vice principal, please. I believe her name is Harmon. Miss Harmon?
I'm Miss Harmon. What is it you wanted?
Police officers, ma'am. Here's our identification.
Oh, yes.
This is my partner, Sergeant Romero. My name's Friday.
I see. How do you do?
Well, we'd like to talk to one of your girl students, Miss Harmon, Roberta Dixon. Understand she's registered here?
Roberta Dixon. Oh, yes, I believe I know her.
Would you mind calling her out of class, please? We'd like to talk to her.
Well, we generally don't like to do that, officer, not unless it's absolutely necessary.
It's pretty important, ma'am. We've got a message for the girl.
I see. Couldn't it wait until after school hours?
I'm afraid not, Miss Harmon. It's about the girl's mother, and it's pretty serious.
Oh, has she been taken ill? Is that it?
No, ma'am. She's been murdered. 16-year-old Roberta Dixon, the daughter of the murdered woman, was called out of her classroom and brought downstairs to the office of Miss Harmon, the girl's vice principal. She was a thin, dark-haired girl in sweater and skirt. With the help of Miss Harmon, whom the girl seemed to know fairly well, Ben and I broke the news of her mother's death as gently as we could. At first, the 16-year-old girl seemed to take the shock with some composure, but suddenly she broke down weeping and became hysterical. When she recovered sufficiently, the girl agreed to come downtown with us to answer a few routine questions. Miss Harmon agreed to accompany her. 11:05 a.m. We checked back in at the office. Ben and I completed the 311 dead body report while Miss Harmon and the daughter of the murdered woman waited in the adjoining room.
What was that time discovered, Joe? You got a note on it there?
Yeah, let me look. 8:55 a.m.
Oh, thanks.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
Oh, hi, George. How you doing?
I can't complain. Got some checking out to do. I wonder if you'd help me.
Well, I'll give it a try. Ben, you know George DeKoven, don't you? Reporter from the Daily News?
Oh, yeah, sure. Seen him around. Hi.
So I understand you two are working on that knife murder out on Pico, the dead woman they found this morning?
Yeah, that's right.
A few things I'd like to check with you before I do the story. The victim's name was Florence Eleanor Dixon, that right?
That's right, George, yeah.
A couple of more things here. Stop me if I got it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The victim was 40 years old, divorced, one child, daughter 16. Body was discovered 9 o'clock this morning by a next-door neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, the neighbor's name is Esther Fenwick.
No, I think the name's Fenmore, George.
Oh, thanks. Fenmore. I understand you haven't got much to go on. No murder weapons, no other leads.
No, not much of anything so far. We just started on this thing.
How about the husband of the dead woman? You get anything there?
Well, he divorced Mrs. Dixon 2 years ago. There's no line on him yet. We're still checking him out. We might have some word later on in the day for him.
Mm-hmm. Any other possible suspects in mind, or do you want to say?
No, I don't think so. It's still wide open.
How about a motive? That been established yet?
Could have been one of a dozen things. We're going to have to do some digging before we can say definitely.
It doesn't look like it was a robbery motive. Well, that's about all we can tell you for sure, George.
Mm-hmm. See, I was over at the morgue when they brought the body in. It's the worst I've seen in a long time. Brutal.
It's pretty bad.
I suppose there's nothing from the crime lab yet.
No. I think they just got back from the house a few minutes ago. If you want to drop by later on this afternoon, we might have something new for you.
Okay, thanks.
Brad.
Oh, say, I saw you bringing the girl in a few minutes ago, the victim's daughter. I'd like to get a couple of pictures of her.
Well, how about making it a little later, huh, George? Kid's still upset. Pretty much of a shock for you, can understand.
Okay, I'll be waiting out in the hall with the photographer.
Okay.
You give me a call, huh? Just a couple of shots. It won't take a minute.
You betcha, George. We'll call you.
Okay.
You about finished with that report, Ben?
Yeah, all done. Guess we better talk to the girl, huh?
Yeah, all right. The morgue say when they're going to post the body?
Sometime today. We ought to have the results first thing tomorrow morning. Miss Harmon?
I think she's a lot better now, Sergeant. Roberta, the officers would like to talk to you a few minutes if you feel up to it.
All right. Who killed my mother? Have you found out?
Not yet, Roberta, and we think you might be able to help her, so.
It's so hard to believe. I just saw her this morning. She was all right then.
Well, you try to take it easy, Roberta. We'll make it as brief as possible. Are you and your mother the only people living at your house? No one else?
No, me and my mother, that's all. My father used to live with us. He doesn't anymore.
And how long has it been since your father left?
I'm not sure. About 5 years, I think. He and Mama didn't get along. They got divorced.
Mm-hmm. Do you see your father at all anymore? I mean, does he ever come to your house to visit?
He did once. It was about a year ago, I think. Wasn't much good. He and my mother argued all the time he was there, and he left. He hasn't been back since.
Has he been in contact at all with your mother, do you know? Does he write her letters, call her on the phone?
No. The last time was when he came to our house. I haven't heard anything about him since. I don't even know where he is. I don't care, I guess. I hardly even knew him.
Uh-huh. I'd like to have you think about this carefully now, Roberta. Did your mother have any close friends who used to come to the house quite a bit?
Yes, 2 or 3 women friends of hers at work.
Any men friends?
No. Mama didn't have any men friends. She didn't like men. She said they were all no good. She used to tell me that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any relatives we can contact?
I don't know about my father's side. My mother has a brother and sister in West Virginia. Address is at home. What am I going to do? Why would anybody kill my mother?
All right, now you try to take it easy, Roberta. Everything's going to work out all right. Look, now, do you think you can give us a list of most of the people your mother knew, friends around the neighborhood, the people she knew at her work?
Yes, I think so. Most of them are in her address book. I think I know where it is.
All right, fine.
Just before you left for school this morning, Roberta, was there anyone in the house besides you and your mother?
No, just the 2 of us.
Was your mother expecting anyone?
Not that I know of.
Your mother was all right, was she? There didn't seem to be anything bothering her?
No. She acted all right to me, just like any other morning. We got up at 6:45. I got dressed. Mama took a shower. I fixed breakfast. We ate, and then I left for school.
About what time was that, Roberta?
A little before 8:30, usual time. I have my first class at 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
When I left Mama, she was just finishing her breakfast. I said goodbye. It was the last time we saw her. Can we talk after a while, please? Maybe I'll feel better. Can't talk now.
Oh, sure, that's all right. Would you like to rest here?
I don't know why I'm crying. Stupid. I don't care anyway. No reason to cry.
You better get some rest, youngster.
No reason. It doesn't make sense crying about Mama.
How's that?
I'm not sorry. I'm glad she's dead.
Early that afternoon, after she'd rested sufficiently and recovered herself, we had another interview with Roberta Dixon, the teenage daughter of the murdered woman. Miss Harmon, the vice principal, went back to the school, and a policewoman was called in to be present during the interrogation. Again, she insisted that she wasn't at all sorry that her mother was dead. She said that privately she didn't have any love for either one of her parents, least of all her mother. She told the usual story of a broken home, a father who showed little interest in his daughter or providing a good home for her, a strict, overbearing mother who apparently made no effort to understand the girl. We continued to interview Roberta Dixon, but outside of what she'd already told us, she showed no further knowledge of the murder. Pending action by the court, we had the girl placed in the custody of the juvenile authorities. 3:10 p.m., Ben and I drove back to the murder house on South Pico Boulevard, where we met police reporter George DeCoven. Together with Brian and Ortiz, we continued our preliminary investigation. We rechecked the immediate area of the Dixon home and talked again with the neighbors. We failed to come up with anything new. 4:25 p.m., along with the reporter, George DeCoven, Ben and I went back to the murder house.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't seem to jive that time of morning. It's possible, though.
What's that, Joey?
Prowler. Might have been it. You think so?
No, we've already run that down.
Yeah?
We checked communications. There's no recent complaints about anybody prowling the neighborhood. We talked to the neighbors, too. No indication of it. No sign anybody tried to break in here either.
Got me. I can't figure it.
And Dixon woman sure kept to herself. Lived here 11 years, and we can't dig up more than half a dozen neighbors who really knew her.
Yeah, business with her daughter, too. It sure stacks up pretty strange. Didn't the crime lab crew find anything this morning, Joe?
No, nothing great. A jacket, a pair of shoes with a few stains on them. Took them in to run a benzodine test. That's about the size of it.
Sure a slow start.
Yeah. I expected a little more from the neighbors.
So did I.
You know, it'd be different if the thing happened in the middle of the night. According to the daughter, it must have happened at least after 8:30 this morning. Now, if the killer got in the house after that, you'd think somebody on the block would have noticed it. Neighbors close by on either side.
How about checking out in the yard and back? I didn't get too good a look around this morning.
Well, there's nothing more to cover in here. Crime lab's been all over.
Yeah, how about where this Mrs. Dixon worked, Joe? Anybody tag base there?
Yeah, Tommy Bryan did. Hotel down on South Grand. She worked in the linen room. A couple of people she knew there, they couldn't tell him anything.
How about some of her other friends?
No, nothing yet. We're still checking.
Go ahead, Joe.
Thanks.
Oh, it's a big backyard. Kept it nice, didn't they?
You want to check alongside here, Ben, with the house? I'll give the back of the yard a look, huh?
Yeah, okay. Well,
good-sized garage, huh? Pretty hard to find them like that anymore.
Pretty good-sized lot, too. She sure must have worked at keeping it up. There's not a weed on the place, is there?
Yeah. More you can say for the neighbors.
Yeah. Have a look, George, down here.
Huh?
Flower bed here. 2 little mounds of dirt, you see them?
Oh, yeah.
The ground looks like it's been recently turned, wouldn't you say?
Fairly recent. Wonder what that's supposed to mean.
Yeah. Oh, small wooden crosses pressed down in each one of the mounds.
Queer one, huh? Looks like a couple of small graves, doesn't it?
You want to reach me that stick over there, George?
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Thank you. Have a look here.
Nice. Nothing on my end. How are you doing? What's this?
Oh, we're not sure ourselves. Wait a minute. Uh-huh.
What is it?
Wait a minute. Yeah, all right. There you are.
A bird. A little canary. How about that?
Hasn't been buried long. Look here. Look at the breast.
What do you think, a knife?
Could be. Sharp instrument of some kind. Just a minute. I'm going to try this other mound here.
Wait a minute, Joe. Yeah. It's another one. Yellow canary, same thing. Look at the breast.
Well, neither one's been buried for more than a few days.
Funny one. The Dixons raise canaries, you know?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It sure doesn't make any sense to me. If they didn't want the birds, you'd think they'd give them away. Why go slaughter them like this?
Yeah, well, it works both ways. Deep wounds in the chest. Some kind of sharp weapon.
Yeah.
The Dixon woman. She died the same way. 4:35 p.m. We took the 2 canaries, wrapped them in paper, and brought them downtown to Lieutenant Lee Jones at the crime lab to be processed. He was still running tests on the stained jacket and pair of shoes which had been found in the house among the dead woman's personal effects. 5:15 p.m. We checked with the office, and then we drove over to Juvenile Hall to see Roberta Dixon. Apparently, she was in a much better frame of mind.
I talked to Miss Harmon this afternoon, our vice principal. She wants me to come and stay with her for a while. Hope she can arrange it. It'd sure be nice.
Mm-hmm. We were back at your house this afternoon, Roberta. We found something we'd like to ask you about.
What's that?
Oh, do you keep any pets in your house? I mean, either you or your mother?
Well, no, not usually. Why?
How do you mean, not usually?
Well, we didn't up until a week ago. Mama didn't like animals. She didn't want them around.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got these 2 canaries. I bought them with my own money. I work after school, you know.
I see.
I bought a cage for them, too. My mother was mad when I brought them home. She didn't like any kind of animals. She kept preaching at me. She finally made me get rid of them.
How'd you do that, Roberta?
I got a knife and I killed them.
See the difference. Taste the difference.
Smoke the difference.
You'll find that in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness. A much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Yes, in king-size Fatima, you get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
Remember, thousands of Americans are switching to Fatima. Insist on Fatima quality. So why wait? Switch to Fatima today. Look for the sunny yellow pack. Buy Fatima. Best of all king-size cigarettes.
Remember, thousands and thousands of Americans are switching to king-size Fatima, insisting on Fatima quality.
So compare Fatima yourself. When you see the difference, taste the difference, smoke that difference, you'll switch to Fatima.
Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Look for the sunny yellow pack. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
February 18th, the Dixon girl was released to the custody of Miss Harmon pending action by the juvenile court, 9 p.m. Ben and I double-checked with Lieutenant Lee Jones at the crime lab. He showed us the school jacket and the pair of shoes which had been found in a closet in the home of the murdered woman, Mrs. Florence Dixon. Apparently, the clothing belonged to the daughter, Roberta. There were several dark stains on each of the articles. They'd been checked thoroughly. First, a benzodine test to determine if they were blood stains, then a biological precipitant test to classify them further. There wasn't any doubt in Lee's mind that the stains were recent, but they were made by human blood. The same blood type as that of the murdered woman. It was a little hard to believe, but the evidence on hand pointed to only one prime suspect, 16-year-old Roberta Dixon. Early the following morning, we checked back in at the office. Ben went across the street to see if the coroner's autopsy report was ready. 8:05 a.m., I checked by communications. They had a report on the tracer we'd gotten out on the murder victim's husband, a Charles Dixon. I picked it up and headed back to the office.
Morning, Joe.
Oh, hi, George. You get the message I left for you? I put it on your desk over in the press room.
Yeah, I got it, thanks. How's it look this morning? Anything new?
Well, this here is an answer on that tracer we got out on Mrs. Dixon's husband. He's been living up north for the past year, San Francisco.
That's so? He's still up there?
No, not according to this. He died 6 months ago, heart attack.
What do you figure?
Well, there's not much choice.
Joe. Oh, hi, George.
Hi.
Autopsy report. Coroner just got it out.
What's the word?
It doesn't jibe with the story we got. The coroner places the time of death close to 7:30 a.m. yesterday. Cause of death, what we figured, chest wound. Some kind of a sharp weapon. There's something else. According to the girl, she had breakfast with her mother before she left for school. Coroner says Miss Dixon hadn't eaten for at least 12 hours before she died.
What was that time of death, Ben?
7:30 a.m., no later.
Well, I guess we better move on it, huh?
Yeah.
What's the angle?
Well, the daughter, she says she didn't leave the house until 8:30. Along with the policewoman, Ben and I drove out to the home of the high school vice principal, Miss Harmon, where the suspect, Roberta Dixon, was staying. There was no one there. We checked at the high school. Miss Harmon told us that she'd brought Roberta to school that morning. She thought that if the girl attended classes, it'd help keep her mind off her troubles. Miss Harmon checked the classroom the Dixon girl was supposed to be in, but she wasn't there. Her teachers were contacted. None of them had seen her that morning. 9:40 a.m., we drove over to the Dixon home. We found Roberta in the back bedroom. She was sitting calmly at a sewing machine, stitching ruffles on a dress. In one corner of the room, there was an empty bird cage.
I'm pretty busy right now. I've got this sewing to do. What do you want to talk to me about?
We got a few more questions for you, Roberta. It's about your mother.
She's dead, isn't she? Do we have to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm afraid we do.
Why do we? Just told me she was dead. There's no sense in talking about dead people. Anyway, I've got this sewing to do. I have to get it finished. There. Isn't that pretty? These ruffles go all the way around the bottom of the skirt. Here, like this. Beautiful color, brown. You like it?
You want to tell us what happened, Roberta, yesterday morning?
Yesterday, I already told you, didn't I?
We don't think you were telling the truth. You want to go over it again for us?
Well, I've got this sewing to do. You can see that, can't you? 3 more rows of ruffles go on. Right here. I have to get it finished. It takes time, you know.
I think you better let the sewing go, Roberta.
Oh, no, I couldn't do that. I have to get it finished.
Well, I'm afraid this is a little more important. I think you realize that.
I went over the whole thing for you already. I told you everything.
Wasn't the truth. You know that, Roberta.
Why do you say that?
Was it the truth?
What do you expect me to say?
That's up to you.
You think I lied, don't you? That's stupid. I haven't got any reason to lie.
Did you kill her,
What?
Did you kill your mother?
I told you everything already. That's just the way it was. Mama and I got up and had breakfast, and I went to school, that's all. I don't have any reason to lie. Oh, excuse me. Hello? Oh, hi, Fran. Yeah, I'm working on it now. It's going to be beautiful. What? Oh, no, that's all right, sure. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm all right. Look, can you call me back later? Yeah, I'll be here. Okay, honey, bye. I'm sorry, officers. My girlfriend, Fran. She's a good friend of mine. She can vouch for me. She'll tell you I'm not a liar.
Do you own a pair of brown and white saddle Oxfords, Roberta?
No, why?
How about a school jacket? Green plaid?
No. I don't like green. Brown's my favorite color.
The green plaid jacket was found in the house here. It was stuffed back in the hall closet. It had your name stenciled on it.
Oh, yeah. That old thing. I don't even wear it anymore. Look at that. Won't it be pretty when I get it finished?
That jacket of yours, Roberta, they found bloodstains on it. On the shoes, too. Roberta?
I already told you. The shoes aren't mine.
The jacket is.
Why do you keep calling me a liar? Can't you believe me for once? Isn't it bad enough the way things are?
Now, the last time we talked to you, you said you left the house at 8:30 yesterday morning. Is that right?
Yes, it was around 8:30.
Well, we got the report on your mother this morning, Roberta. The coroner says she died at 7:30, no later.
That's stupid. How could he tell anyway?
He can tell.
He's a liar.
Something else, Roberta. You told us you and your mother got up and you had breakfast together.
Yeah, we had breakfast together. Why are you picking on me?
You couldn't have had breakfast together. The time she died, your mother hadn't eaten anything for 12 hours.
I guess you're going to say they can tell that, too.
That's right. You want to tell us what really happened now?
Now, tell us the truth, Roberta. It's going to work out a lot easier.
These are some of the toys I had when I was little. I saved almost all of them. My best doll. I had a lot of dolls. I loved them. Guess I still do. I love them more than her.
You mean your mother?
I wasn't fooling. I don't care if she's dead. She didn't mean anything to me. She never did mean anything. These are more of my dolls here. I dressed them all myself, every one of them.
What was the matter, Roberta, between you and your mother, I mean?
I don't know. I guess she just didn't mean anything. Not like anybody else's mother. She didn't mean anything at all. Same as my father. We were in the same house, that's all. Nobody cared for anybody else. It wasn't anything but fighting, or just not saying anything at all. I'm glad she's dead.
You killed her? Is that what you want to say?
Here's a little piano I had. I got one Christmas, I think. Look, still plays.
You want to tell us from the beginning?
It took a long time. I thought about it a lot. A week ago, I made up my mind. It's time to kill her. She was getting worse. I couldn't do anything. I was always wrong. Couldn't go out, couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. She started the same way yesterday morning. I got the knife from the kitchen. I went in and she was sitting on the bed putting her stockings on. I don't think she knew what happened. It didn't take long.
Were you having an argument with her? Is that what started it?
We argued every morning. I got so tired of it. She had an awful voice. Finally made up my mind. Planned it all out. I even practiced it. You know the 2 canaries I had?
Yeah.
I didn't buy them because I wanted them. They got to be cute, though. I felt bad about killing them.
Why'd you kill him, Roberta?
Practice. Decided to use a knife. I wasn't sure I knew how to do it, though, so I got the canaries. One day after school, I killed them. Gave me more confidence. I knew I could do it after that. Poor little things. I guess I shouldn't have killed them.
That knife you killed your mother with, Roberta, you want to show us where it is?
All right, I'll show you. I don't think you ever could have found it. It's up in the attic. Special place I hide things. Say, would you like some coffee or Coke or something?
No, thanks. Just one more thing. Why'd you leave school this morning? I mean, going off without telling anybody.
I wanted to come back here. I felt like it. I wanted to come back to my room. It's the only place I really like to be. I've lived in this house all my life. And this has always been my room. Toys I had. My dolls. Everything's here. Everything I have. My books. All my dolls.
Yeah. I think we better be going, Roberta. We'll have to take you downtown.
Yes, all right. I'll get my coat. Then I'll show you where the knife is.
All right.
Officers, could I ask you one favor?
What's that?
It probably sounds silly. It'll help a lot, though. This doll here.
Yeah.
Could I take it with me? Just this one. Make me feel a lot better. Please, do you think I could?
Yeah, sure. Bring it along if you like.
Thank you. You probably think I don't care for anything but my dolls. There's one thing, though, I want to tell you.
What's that?
I'm sorry now. I really am. I shouldn't have done it. I know it was wrong.
You do?
Yes, I'm sorry I killed the canaries.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On May 6th, the hearing was held in Juvenile Court, Department 38, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that hearing.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, I'd like to take just a moment this evening to tell you about Fatima's Christmas gift carton. When you visit your dealer, take a real good look at it. I think you'll agree with me that it's the smartest of all Christmas cartons, just as it should be, because Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. This Christmas season, I'm buying Fatimas for all my friends, and I hope you will, too. Compare Fatima. See the difference. Taste the difference, and then smoke that difference. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
At the hearing in juvenile court, Roberta Evelyn Dixon was found unfit to be handled as a juvenile and was certified to Superior Court as an adult. There, she was found to be criminally insane by 3 psychiatrists appointed by the state. She is now confined to a state mental institution where she is undergoing treatment. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Barton Yarborough is Sergeant Ben Romero. Also heard was Joyce McCluskey. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Counter Spy fights international intrigue next on NBC. The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
Thank you.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A 22-year-old girl has been abducted. Her family receives an anonymous message. The abductor demands $30,000 for the safe return of the girl. Your job? Get him. See the difference.
Taste the difference.
Smoke the difference.
You'll find that in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness. A much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Yes, in king-size Fatima, you get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarettes you're now smoking.
Remember, thousands of Americans are switching to Fatima, insisting on Fatima quality. So why wait? Switch to Fatima today. Look for the bright, sunny yellow patch. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, October 18th. It was cloudy in Los Angeles. We were working the early morning watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from the stats office, and it was 3:26 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. Hi, Brian.
Hi. Got those mug shots you wanted, Joe. Here you go.
Oh, thank you. The captain leave yet?
They're waiting for me in the garage. You call back?
I'm going to right now, yeah.
Okay. I guess I better hustle it. See you out there, huh?
Right, Brian. I'm sorry to wake you, Ben. This is Joe. How you feeling?
Oh, hi, Joe. What time is it?
3:30 a.m. How's a sore throat?
Oh, it's a lot better. Want to be back to work tomorrow.
Well, we need you now, Ben. You want to be ready in about 20 minutes? I'll pick you up.
20 minutes? Okay, what's the matter?
Man by the name of Martin Sullivan, official down at the Third National Bank.
Yeah, what about it?
He's got a 22-year-old daughter, or he had one.
Huh?
She's gone. Less than 14 hours before, at 1 o'clock the previous afternoon, Judith Sullivan was last seen driving off in a car with a man who'd represented himself as a friend of her father's. At 11 o'clock that night, the Sullivan family received an anonymous letter demanding $30,000 for the safe return of the girl. It had been the only contact made thus far by the abductor. As soon as we got word of what had happened from the girl's father, a broadcast and an APB had been gotten out. The entire force throughout the city had been alerted. 3:44 a.m. I pulled up in front of Ben's house.
Well, good morning.
Hi.
You made good time.
Hey, where are we headed? The Sullivan home out on Castro Boulevard. Thad Brown's out there now with Brian.
Any leads to go on?
No, not so far. The girl disappeared a little before 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Note from the abductor came through last night. They're asking $30,000.
Oh, I don't get it. Sullivan hasn't got that kind of money.
Yeah, I know that. Poor guy's almost out of his mind. Mrs. Sullivan, too, they're all broken up.
Fill me in. How'd it happen?
Well, the girl was taken from a business school that she goes to. Man had her called out of class. He told her her father was sick. Said he was a friend of the family.
How about the teachers? What was their story?
Well, they said the girl didn't want to go with the man at first, but he finally talked her into it. Kept telling her her father was dying.
Yeah, lousy thing. Did he use a car?
Yeah, blue sedan. That's all we know. Witnesses didn't get the make or the license number.
Any description on the man?
Yeah, they say about 5 feet 9, 160, brown suit and dark hair.
Is that all?
That's it. Here's a copy of the letter that the Sullivans got. You can read it. It's the usual.
All right, thanks. I have your daughter, Judy. Get $30,000 quick if you want her back alive. Don't call police or I'll kill her. Contact you later. Signed The Wolf. Who's he kidding?
I don't know. I could think of a better name. Well, here we are.
Yeah. Who's got the original note, Joe?
The crime lab. They're checking it for prints and handwriting.
Hi, Joe Romero. In the living room.
Thank you, Tom.
That's the way I see it, Mr. Sullivan. You understand exactly what you have to do now?
Yes, I'll do as you say.
All right, sir. Here are the two men who will help you. Sergeant Friday and Romero, Central Homicide.
All right, Mr. Sullivan.
Introduce.
Mr. Brown, are you sure about all this? I keep thinking he might get frightened. He might do something to her.
Believe me, Mr. Sullivan, it's the only way. I know how you must feel, but we can't do anything else.
All right. I want to see Mrs. Sullivan first. Will you excuse me? I'll be ready in a moment.
All right, fine.
What is it, Chief? Any development?
Back here, in the dining room.
Yeah?
That's it on the table. Second note from the guy.
When did it come?
Half an hour ago. The guy had it delivered by a special messenger, used a plain envelope. Messenger kid didn't know anything about it, doesn't remember what the guy looked like.
Let's see, Joe.
Yeah, I'll read it. It says, meet me in Elysian Park, 5 o'clock this morning near Balkan Drive. Come alone, bring 30,000. Will return girl. Don't tell the cops. I'll kill her if you do. It's the same signature, Wolf.
Not much time, Chief. It's 4 a.m. now.
I know it. We'll have to do as he says. There's no other way.
Sullivan's going out there alone, is he?
You're going with him, you and Romero. You'll be hidden in the trunk of his car.
All right. Anything else? Any plan you want us to follow?
Get him, that's all.
4:15 a.m. Ben and I went out back to the garage where Mr. Sullivan's car was parked. We jammed ourselves into the trunk compartment, and Brian closed the door on us. The latch was rigged so that we could push open the door from the inside. A few minutes later, Mr. Sullivan came out, got in the car, and we drove off. At 3 minutes to 5, we pulled up at the designated meeting place up in Elysian Park. We waited. Nothing happened. 5 minutes past 5 a.m. Still nothing. Outside, it started to thunder.
Rain's starting, man. Windy. Joe? Do you hear it?
Yeah. The car's coming up the road toward us, sounds like.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Coming over this way.
Yeah, sounds that way, doesn't it? Are you ready?
Right.
All right, easy. Coming back here. Watch it now.
Friday? Romero?
Chief, that you?
Yeah, come on out. Meeting's off.
Look, that's a break.
What's in my leg?
Oh, boy.
Mr. Sullivan, you want to drive back home? We'll contact you there.
Yes, sir. All right.
Come on. Let's get over to the car.
All right. What's the story? Did he scare off?
The guy had no intention of following through with the meeting.
How come?
He told us he phoned a couple of minutes before 5 a.m. We tried to trace the call. He wouldn't stay on the line long enough.
Well, what do you have to say?
A couple of things. Number one, he wants more money. Number two, he knows we're working the case.
What was the reaction?
Claims he doesn't care. We'll never get him anyway.
Well, how's the thing stand now?
$50,000. He wants it in the next 12 hours.
More than 16 hours had passed since word of Judy Sullivan's abduction had been phoned into homicide. During that time, an APB containing the descriptions of the suspect, his car, and his victim had been dispatched to law enforcement agencies throughout the entire area. The same descriptions were being broadcast every hour. The Sullivan home had been placed under strict surveillance, and Mr. Sullivan instructed not to contact the suspect without the knowledge of the police. The girl's father had raised almost $10,000 in cash to buy him off, and the serial numbers on each one of the bills had been copied by a police stenographer and rechecked by a homicide officer. So far, the Wolf, as he called himself, had made 3 separate contacts, but he'd covered his tracks well. We knew he was somewhere in the city, 450 square miles of it. We knew we had to find him. 6:18 a.m. We checked back into homicide.
What's doing, Brian?
Here's a copy of the letter, fellas. Special delivery. Came in about 25 minutes ago.
Let's see, Tom.
It's the same handwriting, it looks like.
Check the postmark. Joe must have mailed it right after he grabbed the girl.
Yeah, let me see. Stay away from Sullivan. If the girl's found dead, it's your fault. Stay away. Wolf.
Can't seem to make up his mind, huh?
They checking the original of this for prints, Tom?
Yeah, no word yet.
How about that second note? Anything on that?
Uh-huh. Stahl lifted a couple of prints running them through R&I. So who's watching Sullivan House now?
Gomez and Thaxter. Chief's out there, too. He's still afraid the girl's father will try to make a deal with the guy.
He tried it yet?
No, not yet. Well, you couldn't blame him if he did. He's worried sick.
I got it. Homicide, Romero. Here, I try. How do you spell it? Okay, right. Yeah, thanks a lot. Record Bureau. Those 2 prints Stahl lifted from the letter, run them through the single print file.
Any luck?
They got to make.
The fingerprint that was lifted from the suspect's letter was identified as belonging to a Donald Alfred Kiefer, WMA, age 29, 5 feet 8 inches, 170 pounds, brown eyes, dark brown hair. He had one previous arrest for forgery in Los Angeles 10 months before. At the time of his arrest, Kiefer's occupation was listed as bank clerk at the Third National Bank. Well, I went down the hall to the Record Bureau to pull the crime report. Brian checked by latent prints to see if they'd gotten anything off the last note from the suspect. Ben went to check with Don Meyer in handwriting. 7:23 a.m. Chief Thad Brown got back to the office. I showed him Kiefer's crime report.
All right, what's the rundown on it?
Well, at the time Kiefer pulled the forgery job at the bank, Mr. Sullivan was one of the vice presidents. He was the one that preferred charges against Kiefer, and he saw that he was prosecuted.
Where's this Kiefer now?
Well, let me check that. He was placed on probation on May 16th this year. He returned to his home in Omaha, Nebraska. That's 1380 Mackinac Avenue.
You call Omaha?
I got the call in now. Ben took an exemplar of Kiefer's handwriting from the package. Don Meyer's going over it now.
Chief?
Hi. What about that last note?
I got the report right here.
How's it look?
Well, Stahl lifted some prints off it, brought them out with the iodine fume gun. They match with the first. There's something else.
What's that?
They examined the paper for watermarks and texture. Both notes are written on the same paper. Impressions show both pieces of paper from the same tablet. Check the density of the carbon in the pencil he used. Both specimens match. Same pencil.
Joe. Oh, hi, Skipper. Hi.
Did you catch up with Don Meyer, Ben?
Yeah, he went over the handwriting. Looks pretty good. What's the word? It's as close as you can get. Here are the 2 exemplars. Francis crosses, double loops as L, open A's, pressure on the downstroke. Donald Kiefer, the wolf, same handwriting.
By noontime, Donald Kiefer's description had been broadcast throughout the entire area. Bulletins were dispatched to all departments, and a supplementary APB was gotten out. Special details were stationed at every post office in the city to watch for notes from the suspect that might come through the mail. The bus depots, railroad terminals, the airports, and all main roads leading out of the city were kept under strict surveillance. The entire Los Angeles area was broken down into single square-mile districts, and a house-to-house canvass was started. A squad of men were assigned to cover each square mile. Outlying towns and cities were requested to do the same. By 4 o'clock that afternoon, one of the greatest dragnet operations in the history of the city was underway. We were sure Donald Kiefer was somewhere inside. 5:12 p.m. We got the call back from the Omaha police.
That so? Again, please. What was that? 6 X-ray 419 Nebraska plate. Right. Fine, Lieutenant. Thank you. Bye.
They made the car?
That and a lot more. The Omaha cops are looking for Kiefer, too. They want him for a robbery there 2 months ago. He used a stolen blue sedan in the robbery, 1939 model, Nebraska plate, 6 X-ray 419.
What about his family and friends? Have they been checked?
Yeah, they say Kiefer left Omaha about 6 weeks ago. I don't know where he was headed.
We better get that car description to communications, huh? APB and a radiogram?
Yeah, right.
Friday, Romero?
Yeah.
What are you tied up with?
Just got a call back from Omaha. Make on Kiefer in the car.
Give it to me. You 2 get out to Sullivan House fast as you can. See Harris out there.
Okay, what happened?
Mr. Sullivan, he's disappeared.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Millions heard it, yet only 54 have written.
Starting on Dragnet over 2.5 months ago, on September 20th to be exact, Fatima made a special money-back offer to more than 10 million listeners. The results? Amazing.
Millions heard it, yet only 54 have written.
If you smoke king-size cigarettes, listen to Fatima's famous offer.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy their extra mildness and superbly blended tobaccos. If you're not convinced Fatima is better, than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking. Just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas before January 1st, and we'll give you your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Remember, thousands and thousands of Americans are switching to king-size Fatima, insisting on Fatima quality.
So compare Fatima yourself. When you see the difference, taste the difference, smoke that difference, you'll switch to Fatima.
Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Wednesday, October 19th, 5:48 p.m. Ben and I drove out to the Sullivan home, where we checked with Bert Harris, the man who'd been assigned to watch Mr. Sullivan. He told us that at about 3 o'clock that afternoon, the father of the missing girl had a phone call. He said he had to go down to the bank, and Harris went with him. While they were at the bank, Mr. Sullivan succeeded in decoying Harris with a fake telephone call. While Harris was answering the call, Sullivan disappeared.
Did Mr. Sullivan get any more money while he was at the bank, Bert?
Yeah, $5,000.
Did you get the serial numbers off the bills?
Uh-huh. Shouldn't have let him get out of my sight.
Forget it. Right now, we got to find out where he's gone to meet Kiefer.
Did you talk to Mrs. Sullivan about it, Bert?
Yeah, says she doesn't know anything about it.
Where's she now?
Back in the sitting room, lying down.
Well, let's try her again, huh? She might be able to help.
Okay, it's back this way.
What time you got, Joe?
It's 5 minutes past 6. I get it. Hello. How's that? Yeah, where are you? What? Oh, well, where are you? Where are you? All right, we'll be right out.
Yeah?
Mr. Sullivan, he met with Kiefer out in Laurel Canyon.
Did he get his daughter back?
Yeah, he did. Wrapped in newspaper. All units in the area were notified immediately that a contact had been made with the suspect, Donald Kiefer. We got in the car and we drove out to Laurel Canyon. The entire area had been blocked off. We found Martin Sullivan standing in the middle of the road at the end of East Winding Way. 500 feet down the hill was a private residence where Sullivan had telephoned us, the only building in the immediate vicinity. A few yards beyond the point where East Winding Way ended, back in a clump of tall grass, we found the body of 22-year-old Judy Sullivan. We notified the crime lab, Chief Thad Brown, and the coroner. Despite the severe emotional shock, Mr. Sullivan told us the story.
He said Judy was all right. I believed him. I wanted her back. Judy. I tricked the officer, the one watching me. Kiefer said to come alone, no police.
Did you see his car, Mr. Sullivan?
I wanted her back. I wanted Judy back. I did as he said. I drove out here at 6 o'clock. I waited. I put the money on the front seat, like he said.
Did he get the money, sir?
And then I got out. I left the parking lights on. I stood up there by the end of the road, and I waited. And then he drove up. He took the money. And then he came up to me. He had a gun. I wanted Judy back. He had a gun.
Did you see his car?
He said she was up there. Beyond the road, she was tied to a tree, he said. I wanted her back.
Now, look, Mr. Sullivan, did you see his car?
I went to look for Judy. He drove away. She wasn't there by the tree. I couldn't find her. On the way back, I saw them on the way.
Yes, sir.
Lord, let me find him. Oh, Lord, let me kill him.
Before he collapsed completely, we showed the dead girl's father a picture of Donald Kiefer, and he identified him definitely. The information was immediately relayed back to Central Division and rebroadcast over our entire radio system. Teletypes were dispatched to sheriff's offices and communications sent to law enforcement agencies throughout the country. 9:52 p.m. The house-to-house search was intensified. The Dragnet operation in which we hoped to trap the killer was drawing slowly inward. A few minutes before midnight, Ben and I drove back downtown to the crime lab to check with Lieutenant Lee Jones.
Hey, fellas, come on back.
Anything yet, Lee?
Just checking over these towels here. Found them wrapped around the girl's body inside the papers. Funny thing about them.
What's that?
All yesterday's papers. Every story about the girl's disappearance has been clipped out.
Uh-huh. How about the towels? Any laundry marks at all, Lee?
Nothing so far, Joe. Every one of them clipped off. Morgue post the body yet?
You're doing it now.
Nasty one.
Yeah, it sure is. Any footprints or tire marks out where they found the body?
Uh-huh, lots of them. Got two of the men checking them now. One thing.
What is it, Lee?
I don't know. Under the seam here, this towel. Wait a minute. Give me that pair of snippers, will you, Joe?
Yeah. Here you go.
Thanks. Press back under the seam here. There. That's one tag he missed.
Yeah, can you read the marking?
Greenway Apartments, Los Angeles.
12:34 a.m. We located the Greenway Apartments in the East Wilshire district, and we checked with the manager. He identified Kiefer's mugshot, but he said he hadn't been home to the apartment since the day before. We called the crime lab, and we went up to check the suspect's apartment. One look was enough. Lieutenant Lee Jones found specimens of the Sullivan girl's blood in the wash basin and the bathtub drains. In an adjoining garage, we found the car which Kiefer had used. A blue sedan, Nebraska plates, 6X-ray 419. A cancellation of the want order for the car was issued and a stakeout placed at the apartment and in the garage in case Kiefer decided to return. All that night and into the next day, the citywide dragnet went on. There was no sign of the killer. At 10 minutes past 2 that afternoon, the first piece of ransom money showed up. It was at a used car lot on the corner of Beverly and Naylor Streets. 2 hours later, another piece of the money turned up at a busy downtown department store. In both cases, the man who passed the stolen money was finally identified as Donald Kiefer. Details were strengthened in both areas where the money appeared. The search went on. 6:42 p.m. Ben and I got a call to meet Chief Thad Brown at the Hollywood Division Station. Tommy Bryan from Central Homicide was with him.
This is the way it stacks up now. This pin map over here, this is where we're concentrating the search. This area here.
How about the lead we had on him downtown? Didn't it work out?
No, the last 20 minutes we picked up 3 possible leads on the man out in this neighborhood here. East of Vine, south of Franklin, west of La Brea, north of Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm. More ransom money show up?
You got it there, Brian. Read it off.
Yeah. 5:35, Sunset and Highland. Newsboy thought he saw Kiefer crossing the street. 20 minutes later, a salesgirl in the diamond store up on Hollywood Boulevard thought she saw him. 10 minutes after that, he was reported seen near the intersection of Hollywood Boulevard and Las Palmas.
Uh-huh. You figure the reports are reliable?
Yeah, they were all checked out. Didn't put too much faith in him till a few minutes ago.
How's that?
$5 bill was passed at a cigar store, Hollywood Boulevard and Hawthorne, ransom money. We've already doubled the number of men and cars in the area. Men stationed at every intersection to keep an eye on pedestrian traffic. We're covering everything. Streets, stores, covering the whole neighborhood.
Uh-huh. I'll get it. Homicide, Brian. Yeah, just a minute. You, Chief.
Oh. That, Brian? Yeah. Uh-huh. Where? Uh-huh. When was that? No, stay there. We'll be right there. Goodbye. Another piece of ransom money.
Where'd it turn up?
A theater on Hollywood Boulevard between Fairview and Hawthorne.
Who passed the money? They think it was Kiefer?
They're positive. They say he's in the theater right now.
The information on Kiefer was phoned into communications immediately, and within a few minutes, men and cars converged on the neighborhood. The 1/2-mile area around the theater was completely blockaded. Every exit and entrance to the theater was covered. 7:23 p.m. Ben and I, along with Chief Thad Brown and Tom Bryan, met in the theater manager's office. Brown outlined our plan of operation. At 7:32 p.m., a detail of 14 men walked down the side aisles on the main floor of the theater and took up their posts on either side of the orchestra pit. The picture was stopped and every light in the theater was turned on. Chief Brown, Bryan, Gomez, Thaxter, Ben, and myself went down the aisle and up onto the stage. Chief Brown made the announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go all be quiet for a minute, please. We're sorry to interrupt the picture, but this is a very important matter. We're police officers. Maybe you've read about it in the papers. A girl by the name of Judy Sullivan was abducted and murdered the day before yesterday. We think we've traced the man who murdered her to this theater. We believe he's in this theater now. We're going to search the theater row by row, and we'd like to ask your cooperation. There's no need to be panicky or afraid. Those who wish to leave now may do so. Leave by the main entrance. Each one of you will be checked as you go out the door. For the benefit of the man we're looking for, don't try to escape. Every exit is covered. The entire area is blockaded. Don't place any more lives in jeopardy. All right, now...
Hey! Hey, right there! There he goes! There! Outside exit!
Come on, Ben.
Joe, he runs down the alley heading to the basement.
Backstage, Joe. We can make it from here.
All right, come on. Through here.
Yeah.
Down here.
Right with you.
In here. Come on, over here.
Air conditioning unit for the theater.
Yeah. I don't see him, do you?
No. You can't get out. There's just two exits. We got them both covered.
Look out, Ben. There he is. All right, keep her, hold it. Don't shoot, all right, throw your gun over here. Come on, throw it out.
Okay, I got it.
You got it, don't shoot.
All right, let's take him.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, you got my gun. I didn't mean to shoot at you. You forced me to...
Put the cuffs on him, Ben.
Yeah, right. Get your hands off of me.
All right, Keeper.
Got the same for you, too.
All right, now hold it. All right, Ben, you all right?
Yeah.
All right, try the cuffs on him now, huh?
Yeah, Got him, huh?
Yeah.
It's a rough one. Hey, it's starting to rain again. It's really pouring out there.
Yeah?
Guess we better get him out the car, huh?
What's the hurry?
How do you mean?
Why spoil a good rain?
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 19th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, this Sunday evening, December 16th, Fatima brings you a television preview of Dragnet on Sound Off Time on NBC. Check your papers for the time. Now, it's an actual case history filmed right on the spot, right at the City Hall, downtown Los Angeles. Starting in January, Dragnet will be seen regularly on television, in addition to Dragnet Radio. Now, remember, Fatima is making all this possible and making it possible for you to give the best this Christmas to everybody who smokes king-size cigarettes. Fatima in the new holiday gift carton. It's the smartest of all Christmas cartons, just as it should be, because Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. Give Fatima.
Donald Alfred Kiefer was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree, and on the recommendation of the jury, he received the death penalty. He was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Barton Yarborough as Sergeant Ben Romero. Also heard were Whit Connor and Vic Perrin. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Counter Spy fights international intrigue next on NBC.